And this week in Nigeria's politics, reactions continue to trail the decision of the federal government to move CBN Department of Banking Supervision and FAN headquarters to Lagos. Also, the Supreme Court affirmed the election victory of governors of Rivers, Sokoto, and Taraba. Now, this week, there was also fresh attacks in Plateau State. That was despite the 24-hour curfew imposed by the state government. 30 people, at least 30 people were killed in that attack. Welcome to Standpoint. I am Precious Amayo. Now, the Rivers State House of Assembly has voted to override Governor Siminalayi Fubara and pass 4 new bills into law. This happened during plenary on Friday at the House of Assembly quarters after the Speaker of the House, Martin Amewule, read 4 letters addressed to him by the governor, wherein he declined his assent to the 4 new bills which had been sent to him for assent. The House, relying on Section 100, subsection 5, said the assent of the governor is not required for the passage into law of the said bills. The section stated that, quote, where the governor withholds assent and the bill is again passed by 2/3 majority, the bill shall become law and the assent of the governor shall not be required. Now, that's our first conversation of the day, the developments in Rivers State politics. And joining me on Zoom to talk about this is a lawyer, Malaki Ugumadu. Good to have you join us.
Well, I'm delighted to be with you this afternoon.
Let me just start by getting your, let me get your reading of what's going on in Rivers State. And that's despite the intervention of the president in the crisis we saw in that state earlier. As we speak, the commissioners who had resigned, are back. And then the State House of Assembly, the PDP now has a minority in the State House of Assembly. What's your reading of the situation?
Well, it is becoming convoluted, if you like, conflicted, but not surprising. It was a development, a political masterstroke for those who want to be charitable to Mr. President and his politicking, yet it runs foul of the grains of federalism, in the sense that very many of us, myself included, were very disturbed regarding the capacity of Mr. President in a magisterial manner and with all finality, thought that the people of Rivers State, through their governor, will be railroaded all to Abuja and to be dictated to, as it were, on what must be the fate of Rivers State. Now, I am not discountenancing the need for political sagacity, the need for party politics. However, I am questioning the propriety, the sanctity of that notion that Mr. President could, in fact, and from all the way from Abuja, dictate with finality what should be the wish of a River State. Let me be clear here. Similar, Fubara has been elected the governor of River State. From his body language, his countenance, and his disposition never to ruffle any feather, even if there were direct confrontation against him, and by extension, the people of River State, we do not see the propriety of outsourcing that authority to Abuja, albeit the presidency. And so when those directives were given, I knew it was a question of time before it will all fall like a pack of cards. Now, where we now find ourselves is that the real interplay of forces have just commenced, where the State House of Assembly, usually determined by the force of majority, is now able to override the veto of the governor in the manner that you have just described. They have proceeded to say your position has become immaterial once we are able to mobilize the number of seats or persons to be able to pass the bill into law. Now, the drawback of this is that whereas we ought to have ended politics and focused on the business of governance for the benefit of the people of Rivers State, we are still politicking. And this politicking this time, unfortunate as it is not in response to the need of the people of Rivers State. It is mainly about power acquisition, the grab of power for power's sake. And it has everything to do with the political gladiators, with little or no space left for the people of Rivers State. And they are becoming very entrenched.
Mr. Malaki, let me just, because you're talking about power, and I want to stay there, because some have now described the governor as being in a situation where he is in government but not in power. Is that how you also assess the situation?
You have helped me to characterize it even the more. He is in government, but certainly not in power. Indeed, he was conscripted into this whole arrangement for that purpose. What else would happen to a man, no less a governor, before you rise to the occasion, take a position, stand your ground, and bear the consequences? What else? You know, he has been literally told that the greatest mistake he made is to shift away from where he was meant to stand. And this is unfortunate. This is utterly very unfortunate. I think it was the same governor who was rumored not to travel out from Rivers State or go to Abuja for any meeting without taking permission from some power broker. This is ridiculous. So you hit it on the head.
Mr. Malaki Gumadu, again, sorry to butt in.
Power, but not in power. Go ahead.
Some people have also said, and he reacted to some of those statements when people were saying he was forced to sign, he was under duress. He said he signed willingly. And people have said, look, the governor is not a child. He has the right and the power to say, I am not going to put pen to paper on this agreement. And if he did that, perhaps he also thought that that was the right way to peace.
So you could talk about, from that perspective, you could also consider what is probably the political maturity of the person in question. And I'm not saying this with any intention to denigrate any person. I am talking about, look, let's be blunt here. Leadership is not where you stand in times of convenience. Leadership is where you stand at all times. So if by any means you have found yourself in power, you must be able to dramatize the capacity to take on the baton from that moment. He ought to know. Yes, you could say he has not been a career politician, was an Accountant General of Rivers State, but he ought to learn from history. This was the same situation that former Governor Ambode found himself in Lagos State. Students of history ought to learn and then be able to navigate themselves out of those situations. Former Governor Chris Ngige almost found himself in that situation But if you take the scenarios I have mentioned, the ones became pliant and subservient and led by the nose and suffered the consequence. The other engaged and confronted the situation and became a man of his own. So I do not see how, in his political calculation and judgment, he came to the conclusion that the path of peace is to now go in bed with a so-called political godfather who found everything wrong about him from day one. We now understand better why he was handpicked and imposed on the people of Rivers State, because indeed he was supposed not to be in charge. He was supposed to be in government, but like you said, never in power. I sympathize with the people of Rivers State, but they must find a fresh consciousness by which they will now mobilize themselves, articulate, first of all, understand what the issues are, properly appreciate them for what they are, and then chart a new course against the backdrop of the convoluted situation that has become a travesty of democracy. It is perverse, and it cannot stand. Unfortunately, a lot has gone wrong, but it is in circumstances like this that you know whether a man can lead or will be led. And I conclude by saying that the peace he desperately seeks should not be the peace of poverty or the stability of starvation. That is what you find in the graveyard. In the political arena, you must engage. This attitude of running away at every point and curve, abandoning the mandate, the authority, and the sovereignty that the people have all assembled in you is most unfortunate.
And how possible is it, Mr. Ogumadu? How possible is it for him to engage, at this point, a minority in the House of Assembly, members of cabinet who resigned and then came back, almost feeling like he's a lone ranger in that administration? How possible is it for him to engage, and what does he have to engage with?
I can answer that question straight away. The first means of engagement is to appreciate the magnitude of the people of Rivers State that are behind him. In my view, what he has consistently done is to betray them and listen to very credible, high-level politicians, traditional rulers, people, rank and file of the people of Rivers State. In short, they are not just thinking of what to do, they are properly mobilized against the overbearing attitude of their former governor. And they showed it when he attempted to violently displace him from the government house. That is one sure bulwark that he has. That is the power of the masses. And you cannot stand in the way of the masses when the time has come. Victor Hugo makes that point very eloquently. There is no stopping an idea whose time has come. That is one. Secondly, would you remember a man called Peter Gregory Obi in Anambra State? He was in this situation. He was essentially a one-man squad by reason of the political party that he belonged to, which was ABGA at that material time, and had a completely populated PDP State House of Assembly. Please, you are a journalist, cast your mind back and know what happened. He was also meant to be a puppet, this time around, by some extraneous forces that had imposed if you like, an impostor. But he was able to battle his way back, became the governor, or reclaimed his mandate as given by the people, faced with a state house of assembly that was populated by PDP, when he was indeed an ABGA governor, or governor sponsored by the ABGA political party. It is about political sagacity. I have made the point that leadership is not where you stand in times of conflict. Leadership is when you stand at all times, including difficult times. Fubara already has the mandate of the people. Fubara will not be accepted by all people of River State. But once you have the preponderance of the people in your support, that is one full, in short, that is halfway solution. So when you are able to demonstrate and dramatize the sincerity of your purpose and your availability in relation to the need of the people, it will take by far more than what you conceive to be able to derail that person. Because of why? He has the support of the people. And thirdly, the law does not insist that you must have the majority of members in the legislature before you can govern as a governor. So a combination of all of these, but more importantly, the speed with which you can redirect the resources of the state to solve the problems of the people, particularly the low-hanging fruits. I hope you listened to the civil servants when the judgment was pronounced on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, Friday or Thursday. You could see that this is one of them. He's a career civil servant. He was the accountant general. From that, in short, some of them came out to say, never in the history of River State had they received as much as 100,000 naira as Christmas gift and bonus. He should think out of the box and along the same line in several other aspects of the lives of the people of River State. Before you know it, people will be called out for what they are.
But that political sagacity you spoke to earlier, Mr. Agumadu, that political sagacity, doesn't it also have to do with the ability to manage, all sides, irrespective of the political differences, and win hearts for yourself, instead of going to, war headlong?
To manage what? Say that again.
To manage all sides.
All sides.
All sides, irrespective of political differences, instead of just going to war headlong.
Well, my sister, I can appreciate the need for that. But when you make those offers repeatedly and you are rebuffed and you are told that there are no middle points, you are made to realize that it is immaterial whether Mr. President has spoken. We will take the structure of River State and all the overtures made, all the olive branches extended are thrown overboard. It is at that moment that you will assert yourself. Anything short of that is boxing yourself into a corner that I consider to be political purgatory. You are only in that portion before you will be nailed completely. And I think I have made this point sufficiently clear.
But did he extend olive branches? I want to go through some of the 4 bills that were rejected. And the very first one is River State Funds Management and Financial Law 2023. And that was passed to grant financial autonomy to the House of Assembly. For the House of Assembly to be insisting on passing that bill now, doesn't that tell you, because most houses of assembly have not even, whilst the governor, they follow the governor's body language to that bill. For this particular House of Assembly to be insisting on passing this bill, doesn't that tell you that, there is a challenge in terms of funding for the House of Assembly as well?
So that for me reinforces the point that I have made, that the politicking has continued. I could speak and preach peace ostensibly, and then surreptitiously and behind the scene, I will take every step to promote disharmony. Now, you could see that if by some political engineering, it was possible for most of these House of Rep members to return, commissioners return, that is enough ground. That is enough ground, in my view. So if these people are still insisting, it's just a question of the voice of Esau and the hands of Jacob. I hope I'm right.
The voice of Jacob and the hand of Esau. But I don't think that you've answered. I don't think you've answered my question. I don't think you've answered my question, Mr. Agumadu. Because I am saying that, doesn't that also show,
please put it again.
If the House of Assembly is insisting on this bill being passed, doesn't that also show that perhaps in terms of the funding and finances for the House of Assembly, maybe, and this is speaking just generically without any, I'm just saying that maybe that the governor has also erred in terms of funding for the House of Assembly, and perhaps that is one of the grievances.
So please, if you listen closely to the trend of my argument, we are saying the same thing. I'm saying that why are they insisting on this particular bill being passed into law, and in fact overriding the veto of the governor? That will clearly show you what it is. Now, who are these members of the State House of Assembly? They are people who owe their allegiance not to the state, or who are ready to cooperate with their allegiance, to put it bluntly, is to the former governor of Rivers State. So what is playing out, if you want to hear it rather clearly, is that the conditions we have given you, you are not yet considering it. Mr. Governor, this issue of financial autonomy, which is the essence of, which is the whole madness and the desire for politics in Nigeria, you cannot compromise that. That's what they are saying. So where is that? Who are these members of House of Assembly? First of all, to whom do they owe their allegiance, and why are they insisting on this particular bill and not other bill for financial autonomy for the people of Rivers State? That will give you the answer. And I thought you understood it. So I make the point, and I answer you by saying that the governor ought to understand. I think he understands. The only thing is that he's not ready to engage. This engagement, in my view, must not also be confrontational. It must just be a resolved engagement, an assertive engagement, a sagacious engagement, but one to meet them. So what you can do, in my view, is to demonstrate. It's been over 5 months now, if I'm not mistaken. What is happening in Rivers State to suggest that I am ready to work? To what extent have I taken steps indicative of a departure from what it has always been with my predecessor? How many more minds and people can I win over to my side? I mean, I'm talking of critical mass of Rivers State to buy me this support and groundswell to be able to engage the renegades. If you focused on that and therefore call these members of assembly members to even have an interaction, it's not about engagement by proxy. They are all friends, they know themselves.
Mr. Agumadu, I have just like a minute left, and I just want to ask you this question, because there are 3 other bills. One of them is Rivers State Local Government Amendment Law 2023. That is intended to strip the governor of his power to dissolve elected local government councils and appoint caretaker committees. There is also the Traditional Rulers Law 2024. It's an amendment to reduce the governor's power to amend and recognize and derecognize traditional rulers, among others. And the last one is the Rivers State Use of State-Owned Property Prohibition Repeal Law 2024, which was passed to open up access to government spaces for public use. What's your take on these bills? And then now that they are laws, because they have it will seem as though the House of Assembly members have acted constitutionally. It is in the Constitution.
That's right.
What powers does the governor have now in terms of these laws and just in the state as a whole?
Okay, if the time permits me, I can take them one after the other. But with respect to that of focusing on, by the way, I was responding to the one financial autonomy because that's the one you threw at me. Now that we can talk about others, with respect to the local government, the one to guarantee democratically elected local government, by which the governor will not have the power to appoint caretaker committees and all that. That is constitutional. In fact, the Supreme Court has, in a number of cases, reiterated the constitutional provision that local government administration in Nigeria shall be democratically elected. So on that score, you could see that if he understood it very well, except of course that he needed to be sure that he can survive politically. If he understood it very well, he would know that with respect to that, there is no space for manipulation. It is even the constitutional position, even if majority of the states in the federation now acts otherwise. So that is one. On the one for traditional rulers, you could see again that what the State House of Assembly is insisting on is to whittle down the powers of the governor in relation to centers of power and the structures of power in the state. Whatever you can do with the centers of power, whether local government, traditional institution, the youth movement, and other centers of power in the state, where you will no longer have, the power to reorganize and redirect, you will understand that it is a continuation of the same strategy of diffusing, or if you like, whittling down the power of the governor, and so on and so forth, including the property, the one concerning the property and so on. So my take is simple. It is that Mr. Governor should clearly understand the dynamics of the game. He should preach peace, but not pursue the peace of poverty. He should articulate stability or programs that will promote stability, but not activities that will engender starvation. So there are limits to which he would continue to stay on the fence in this matter, knowing that what the people need is leadership. Leadership is to take charge and to drive the process, whether it is easy or not. And I think that those are the things that the options before the governor at the moment. I'm not saying that they are difficult situations, but it is in the midst of that difficulty and against the backdrop of that difficulty that his own history will be crafted. And that's my position.
I understand that I can speak to you for about 4 more minutes, so we can go on. I also wanted to ask how easy it would be for the governor to navigate through governance in this first term. Just looking at the current dynamics, you've talked about the structures of power, which is not being whittled down for him in Rivers State. How easy then will it be for him to navigate through governance?
I'm completely sorry. You were completely off. Once you said I have 4 more minutes, I didn't hear anything again.
All right, so I was asking you how easy it would be for the governor with this current dynamics to navigate through governance in Rivers State?
Well, like I always say, Nigeria has been, well, when I say Nigeria, I am not excluding the substructures. I'm talking of the state, this federating state, including Rivers State. Nigeria has been so badly run aground that I don't even envy public office holders and state actors. I don't envy them. What the gentleman needed at the moment were all that he needed or all that he required to be able to pursue governance and deliver on the promises. But what he has at the moment, and if care is not taken, the whole of the first year will go into this, is to be able to understand his place in history, one, understand the circumstances he found himself within the political calculations and political manipulations. And then thirdly, to be able to locate the will of the people. Now, he must be selfless. To be selfless is to look less in a way of aligning himself with the wishes of the masses. I imagine, I suspect, in fact, I believe that his strength lies in the people of Rivers State and not in the political gladiators. And for as long as he continues to undermine them, sometimes inadvertently, believing that he's pursuing peace, for that long, he's eroding his base and exposing himself more to the avarice, the wishes of his political godfathers. This time, they are becoming so many for him to be able to service all of them. So I wish him well. But, I wish the people of Rivers State more, and I'm calling them to be able to understand that what is playing out at the moment is about the desires of individual persons. And they must find a way by which they redirect the whole affairs of the state in such a way that their own interest is brought to the focus and attended to by far more than what the political gladiators and state actors are doing at the moment.
And they must do that legally and peacefully as well. It is said that in politics, there are no permanent friends and no permanent enemies. So we'll see how this situation plays out in Rivers State. Thank you so much for your time, as always. Always great analysis when we speak with you, lawyer Malaki Ugumadu.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're watching Standpoint. We've talked about the politics and dynamics in Rivers State. When we return from this break, we're going to move to politics in Edo State as we follow and monitor the build-up to the election in that state. Stay with us.